All right, so welcome all. If you are joining us in the Gen Education track, we are going to be doing teaching personal finance through games, engaging play-based learning strategies. But if you want to switch over to one of the other tracks, so say you've been sitting in the background listening to this and you're like, you know what, I want to try something different as well, that is totally okay. In the personal finance and economics room, we have Safe to Fail classroom strategies for real-world learning financial literacy. In the CTE track, we have QuickBooks for high school educators, hands-on accounting skills for students. In the admins group, there's still the AP Business Personal Finance course going on in there. And in the higher education track, we have Defining What Matters, Exploring Financial Competencies for Student Success. So you can go back to your main hub via the email you got and be able to switch tracks if you ever want to. But hopefully you are staying to hang out with me, and we're going to be talking about games and personal finance. All right, we'll give a couple minutes for everyone to get in here, but if you have joined us already, hello and welcome. We're going to be talking about games and personal finance. So, how do we teach personal finance using games? And what is a game? What does that even mean? Is it actually a good thing to bring into a classroom or not? Those are the kind of things we're going to explore today. But I would love to know who's joining me here today. So, if you are listening and you're able to type, get into that chat, let me know, hey, who are you? Where are you calling in from? And what level of personal finance are you teaching? Are you doing it as a standalone course? Are you integrating it into some other class? I'd love to know a little bit more about you. And man, you guys are coming in from everywhere, Hawaii to Florida. So we got west to east coast for sure. If you got the World Cup game playing in the background, like I sadly do not right now because I'm fully focused on you, let me know too. What is the score in that game? Because I'm very invested in how Portugal's doing right now. Oh, I got another Marylander in here. Hey, Angela. I'm really trying to keep up with this chat. 3-0 Portugal. Oh man. They finally arrived at this tournament. I am doing very well. I'm having a great summer break so far. This is day 4 of summer break, so I'm into mini retirement mode, which is always nice. We as teachers get to kind of explore what that little retirement might feel like when that day does come. But how many of you are working over this summer? I did a post about that recently, and I was shocked at how many teachers are side hustling, doing some gigs, got some summer work going on. Like, how many of you actually kick back and just relax and recover, and how many of you are exploring something else? Yeah, and take a look at that chat. See what's going on up here. What are the different things you're doing too? So if you're working, like let us know what you're doing. Sometimes there's some really creative side hustle ideas out there. I know that's totally off topic for what I'm talking about today, but I always love hearing about what everyone else is doing. All right, we are going to respect everyone's time and the schedule, and we're going to start things off. So, without further ado, teaching personal finance through games, engaging play-based strategies for your financial classroom from Intuit for Education. All right, my name is Rob Phelan. I am not a employee of Intuit. I am a very interested educator. I have my own business called Fi Educator, where I create exciting, engaging, and educational resources for financial education classrooms. You can find out more about that at fieducator.store. But I was approached to do this session about incorporating games and personal finance, and I was really excited about that. It's something I love doing myself. I've created a lot of resources, particularly around the game of Monopoly and how you integrate that in the classroom. And there's so many great online games and simulations out there that help teach personal finance, and Intuit for Education is coming out with some really good ones. And I want to be a part of introducing those to you today. So that's why I'm here. I'm going to talk to you about different ways that we can incorporate games into our classrooms. All right, so a little overview of what you are going to get today. We're going to do what is a game? Let's make sure we're very clear on what the definition of a game is and we're not carrying any misconceptions through here. Then we're going to talk about some examples of what games might look like in your classroom and how you can integrate a personal finance topic with those games. And then finally, I'm going to show you a small library of options that you can use in your classroom that are ready to go and free to use. All set? Let's do it. I keep hitting my keyboard and that doesn't move it forward. I have to tap with my mouse. All right. Starting us off, I want you guys to give me an A or a D in the chat. So if you're not able to use chat, that's totally okay. Those of you who have a keyboard at your fingertips, let's get into this. So A or D in the chat. You don't have to elaborate any more than that, but whether you agree or disagree with the following statements. All right, first statement. Games can take too much class time to be worth doing. A or D? Agree or disagree? Well, obviously, most of you are here because you don't agree with that statement. You're like, no, games are worth doing. So let's get in here and talk about games. Yes, I love that. A couple of you are saying A, though. There are a couple of agrees in here that, you know what, games are, they're fluff. And we sometimes find that with technology too, that like technology for just introducing technology can feel like a distractor, fluff, that sort of thing. So I've heard that statement before about using games in the classroom as well. Next one. I'm hoping to change your mind, by the way, if you're on the A side. Students can learn more when they compete with each other. Agree or disagree? Is competition essential? Or do they learn more from it? Agree or disagree? Lots of A's popping here, more D's as well. This one's a little bit more balanced than the last one. Some are on the fence with both. Yep. All right. So, yeah, is that competition essential? That's a big question for us today. And then finally, a game must have a winner. In talking to my international friends, they always are amused by how much America in general is obsessed with having a winner and a loser, that ties are not okay. But do our games in our classrooms need to have a winner? Does there need to be one group or one person who comes out ahead of the others for it to be a successful activity? Students like it better when there's a winner. Yeah, I hear that, Trevor. That's definitely something they are about. That ego boost is there for sure. We got lots of D's, some A's, more D's than A's. Okay, so we don't feel like we essentially have to have a winner for a game to be successful or educational in our classroom. Perfect. All right, so let's talk about what a game actually is. You go and look up the definition of a game. It's got to have rules of some sort. So there has to be boundaries to how the activity operates. I'm going to try and avoid using the word game in its own definition. It doesn't require a board, a screen, or a score. So these are things that it doesn't necessarily need, but it does require choice and autonomy. So there has to be something that the player themselves is doing that they have choice over that allows the game or the strategy or the activity to progress. And then some sort of stakes is usually in there. So there must be some reason for doing what they're doing and a reason to care. And then competition is only one way to create that. So there are lots of ways to create those conditions to have a game without it necessarily being competitive. One of my favorite classroom activities that I do is one called Space Quest, and it's a cooperative game. So it's not against each other, it's with each other. And the groups are just trying to kind of figure out what's the best way to do something. And yeah, there's no winner or loser. It's crazy. Debate, predict, rank, vote. These are all different types of activities that meet those criteria of being a game and can be great in our classroom. Oh, I love that. Someone said I changed my answer with the explanation. Yes. And thank you for the shout out. Love for Space Quest. It is one of my favorites. All right. So if students are leaning in, that's game energy. I love that input from Dan who created these slides. Like, yeah, like if students are into this and they're excited about it, they're um, flexing those kind of like thought processes and their own choices, that's where we start seeing that energy come in that is game level. And I love that quote. All right, so this is what we're going to take a look at today. So just some ideas of how you can gamify what you're doing in your classroom. So first up is a would you rather situation. So give the students some choice. Would you rather do A or B? How would you approach doing this particular problem? So just sort of like a here's a statement or here's a scenario. What would you do? Would you do A or B? So you can offer choices or you can leave it open ended. But giving the students the direction that they have to pick something, they can't just sit on the fence. Like, what would you do? That kind of creates that scenario of, okay, I've got a choice to make. There's some sort of stakes involved, and we can be competitive or cooperative or neither about this as well. The hot take, provide a short opinion. So, sort of like those questions that I gave you, the agree, disagree at the end or at the beginning. I'm sorry. Do you agree or disagree with it? Would you choose A, B, C, or D? Which one do you think is the best answer? And that sort of thing. And you just ask them then to maybe defend their position or provide some sort of explanation of what they're talking about. See, does everyone agree or disagree? Like those are great ways to just kind of gamify, if we're sticking with that definition of a game, what we're doing in the classroom. All right, name the price. Oh, I love these guessing games. The price is right. So how much do you think something costs? We do this in the classroom all the time, even if like it's not necessarily a formal activity. Something pops up and we're like, well, how much do you think this costs? For example, I'm going to the World Cup on Saturday. Me and my brothers did the entry back in the fall for the blind stuff. And we're like, how much do you think we paid for a ticket? And bless their hearts, they're like, oh, $50, $60. Like, there's no way you paid more than that for a World Cup game. And I have to hold my head in shame and be like, no, guys, I'm sorry. It was $350 per ticket. And they are shocked at how much something like that would cost. And then it becomes a great conversation about, well, what's value and how do we truly value things? What's valuable to me might not be valuable to you. And that is better conversation, I think, than most of the stuff we hear about in school on a day to day basis. And if you can get students talking about things like value based spending and prioritizing your spending based on what you care about, not what anyone else cares about, they're going to make amazing decisions moving forward. All right, then the last one that we're going to see is the rank it one. So give students a list, a choice of something that they're going to do, and then ask them to put it in order. So we're going to explore that one a little bit. But let me move my slides forward. So the first one, would you rather? You guys can put an answer to the chat in this really quick. I'll give you like 30 seconds to say like, what would you do here? Would you rather win $1 million, but it's publicly shared, everyone knows about it? Or would you rather privately win $100,000? Oh, we're splitting the room. I love it when questions like these split the room. Some of you are like, public, give me the million. I can disappear with $1 million, no problem. And some of you are like, private, don't need anyone else knowing that I got money because you know what will come with that. Any of you also face from your family like the idea like, oh, you're a personal finance teacher, so you must have lots of money. Anyone ever get that misconception about yourself coming in? Yes, that's me and my siblings. They're like, well, you must have lots of money because you teach kids about money, so you must be loaded. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Still a public educator, everybody. The students do think we make lots of money, bless their hearts. But when they start exploring their careers in our classes, then they start realizing, oh no, like the $26,000. I'm going to pick on nail techs because this is the most common one I tend to fight with my students. It's a very popular career right now. The nail tech, hair salon worker, and the student's like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And we look up the salary and it's like, well, 26,000 seems like a lot of money, but in Maryland, in where we live, that's not a lot of money. And when we start going through budgeting, they're like, oh, I'm going to need roommates forever. I'm like, yes, that is part of the low salary jobs, unfortunately. I have to look at the chat because you guys are putting some great stuff in here. Kids ask why you're teaching if you know the stuff. Yes, why are you still working if you know all there is to know about money? That is a great question, right? Why are we not already independent millionaires? I love that from Charles. Like you go out with the honesty, kind of straightforward, straight shooter approach of like, look, I've made a lot of mistakes, and my job right now is to help teach you about those so you avoid them, and then also share the information that I have gathered from years of doing this, plus making all my own life decisions too. Love that. Students shocked when they find out how much I owe in student loans. Yeah, I mean, most of them don't realize that we didn't grow up learning this stuff in school and from the age of like 10 be like, yeah, like I want to be a personal finance teacher and I'm going to know all the things before I start teaching it. If you're like me, you started teaching 5, 6 years into your career about personal finance. Like I'm a math teacher by degree and a phys ed teacher, by the way. Fun fact, never used it, but math and phys ed is my degree. And then about 6 years in, I started teaching personal finance because I got tossed the class. It was like, hey, you are teaching this contemporary financial algebra class that you know nothing about, but you've got a summer to learn. Go. And that's when I really started getting into it. And, that's when it became my passion and my excitement. But, up until that point, age 26, 27, I was making all the regular life decisions that the rest of us were doing. And thankfully, none of them were huge, but, we got that kind of stuff. All right. Second on our slide deck, the hot take. Ooh, this one's going to have some opinions too. Married couples should always combine finances. Agree or disagree? I always think of oh gosh, what's Dave Ramsey's daughter's name? I want to say it's Rachel.
Rachel Cruz.
That's right, Rachel Cruz. Yes. This is the topic that she always seems to be talking about when she comes up in my Instagram feed. Should married couples have combined finances? Yes or no? And yeah, you can see it in our chat. It splits the room a little bit. Like, do we agree or not agree? And it's personal. Personal finance is personal, right? Um, I'm always, on the side of coaching my kids through like you don't get married until you are 100% on the same page. You've worked together financially towards your goals. You know each other inside and out, personally and financially. And then I still think it's important for both people in the relationship to have some of their own finances, particularly if there ever ends up being relationship issues. Like if one person needs to leave the relationship, they need to have the financial power to be able to do so. And that's kind of where I fall on that one. But I try not to be as direct with them. I try to like kind of tiptoe around a little bit more, let them form their own opinions. All right. So before we, oh, actually, you guys are not arguing at all. You're being very supportive of each other. Go you. Name the price. I unfortunately know the price of tortilla chips very well. What is the price now? The if I had this one pop up in my class, like say this slide popped up and I was like, we're going to talk about the price of tortilla chips. I would say, what else do you need to know? What other questions do you need to ask, or what information do you need before you can make an educated guess about this? It reminds me of the Dan Myers 3-act stuff from math. But you'd ask them something like that, like, well, what other information do you need? And I can see some of you popping up with it, like, how big is the bag? What's the brand name? What store are we buying this from? Is this an Amazon purchase, or are we drive into a local store for it? And those are great questions. And then yeah, now you can make a more educated guess of, are we talking like a small little bag? Are we talking like a family size bag? I mean, large, how big is large really? Yeah, where are we? Are we in California or South Carolina? Great question. Are they on sale or not? Oh, these are good responses, guys. Go you. So, yes, getting your students to think more critically about their purchases via games. I mean, look at all this stuff that we're doing. We're coming up with these great questions, ideas, and we haven't really even formally said, like, hey, by the way, we're all playing a game right now. So it doesn't have to look like Monopoly. It doesn't have to be a Kahoot. Like we know those tools where they're great tools for creating those game-like scenarios, but there's lots of different ways to gamify what we are doing in class. All right, now speaking of, we're going to actually do one of these. So I know we've been playing in the chat a little bit, but we're going to do one of the rank it activities. So we're going to put something in order based on how, I think it's how expensive they are. All right, so you're going to go into breakout rooms. Now, I've been in a couple of breakout rooms since this conference started. The two that I've been in so far, the engagement hasn't been amazing because I think we're in small rooms where not everyone is necessarily available to type or speak. So I know some of you are like listening in the car, some of you are laying on a beach with a drink. At least that's what I'm imagining for you right now. I hope it's true. And you're like, you know what? My hands are full of sand. I can't type right now. So I'm just going to listen. But if you are available, I would love for you to unmute or type in the chat your ideas and your thoughts on this one. We're going to increase the size of the groups a little bit just so that there's hopefully enough of you in there that are able to engage, and we will make something great out of this. If your kids are running around the house, I mean, you are welcome to invite them to the party on this one. They can guess at how expensive these things are. But what I'm going to give you is a list of items, and I'm going to ask you to rank them in order of how expensive they are. So I think it's from high to low.
Rob, how big would you like the groups?
Let's go 8 to 10.
8 to
So
10
somewhere in there.
people?
Yep.
Great.
All right. So rank the following from least to most expensive. And what I would suggest you do, because I hope the slide is going to transfer to our breakout room. If it does not, if you have a phone on you, snap a picture of it really quick so you have it. And I will try and maybe put the items in the chat really quick so you can copy paste it. Because I know when I've gone into breakout rooms before, that stuff has not transferred over.
Yeah, I don't think it will.
All right, I'm going to copy paste the list of items into the chat. Can you guys grab it if possible and bring it with you into the breakout room so that you can just type it into the chat. It's there for everyone, and then you can try and reorganize it based on how cheap or expensive you think they are. So I just put in the chat for you. Grab a copy of it, bring it with you into the breakout room. So from least to most expensive, a new iPhone, a year's supply of milk. Again, the question would be, are we talking organic or non-organic? But you guys can debate what you think that would come out to be. So roughly a dollar amount. If I was doing this with my students, I would ask them, because you know what they would do? They would just like say, okay, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, done. I would say, okay, I want you guys to go a little deeper. Tell me how much you think each of these things will cost, and then rank them based on that number you came up with. So it just forces that deeper thought that would come into this as well. So a used Toyota Camry with 100,000 miles on it, a vending machine that's new but pretty basic, a one year of car insurance for an 18-year-old. Again, are we assuming male or female? Because that will be a very different number. 1 year of in-state tuition at a public university, a horse, a New York City hot dog cart license in Central Park. I thought that was such a fun addition. Like, I have no idea how much that cost. And then the average US wedding, oof, Maryland is definitely on the higher end of that. I think New York State is the most expensive. Raising a child from birth to 18. So our parents should have a great idea of what that's going to look like. All right. No research, no Googling allowed. You are going off of your experience, your knowledge, your worldly, I'm going to reuse the word experience right now, worldly experiences on how much you think these things would do. So it's all your opinion. All right, Matt, we are ready for breakout rooms. So from least to most expensive, that list again is in the chat if you want to grab a copy of it before you go. Any
Okay.
That was really hard.
Fair enough. Yeah.
It was very hard.
Yeah, we were trying to debate all the different pieces, like was the child male or female? Was
Right, right.
Why are you trying to
I'm
say that a male or female child is going to cost more to raise?
Yes.
Wow.
For car
Oh,
insurance,
yeah.
it would be.
Girls
For
are more
anything, yeah.
expensive. Boys just eat more.
Fair, yeah.
They eat more and play more video games.
That
The
pink
girl
tax
usually
is a
pays
real
for the
thing.
wedding too, so.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be the typical student. What's the answer?
Well, I do have the answer for you. So yeah, I think everyone is back at this point. So let's see what the researched answers were by Intuit, not by Rob Phelan. Okay, so the 10-year supply of milk was about $260. Now there is no footnote here as to where the numbers are coming from, so let's just go with it. New iPhone about 800, a horse about 5,000, vending machine 3 to 5 grand, used Toyota Camry 12 to 14, 1 year of car insurance for an 18-year-old 5 to 7, so that'll be what 500 to 600 a month. So okay, yeah. 1 year of in-state tuition 11 grand. Average U.S. wedding 33,000. Hot dog cart license is 100,000 per year. That blew my mind. I was like,
Me too.
how many hot dogs do you have to sell per day? I mean, that's where my mind goes. How many hot dogs per day do you have to sell just to pay your license? And then raising a child from birth to 18 comes in at around 300 and change.
I think you need to look at the iPhone. I don't think you can get an iPhone for 800 bucks.
Well, remember that the most recent one, they have that cheaper model again. Because like I know we got scared by the tariff situation when it came in, and we like updated our phones. We're like, oh, like they're gonna go way up in value after all these tariffs. We got suckered into that one. But I think we paid around 1,000 for decent level iPhone latest number, whatever it was. But there was a cheaper option available with smaller storage, that sort of thing. So maybe like you could get one around that price, but that one did seem low to me. Same with the milk. I don't. We shop at Wegmans in Maryland, and I'm pretty sure I'm paying like 5.49 for a quart of milk once per week. So, that seems like, and that's on a slow week. So like, there's definitely weeks where we do more.
You should live in Alaska where everything's shipped up here. Not cheap.
I can imagine. My two brothers are joining me next week from Cayman Islands, and they've told me what their grocery bill looks like, and I'm like,
Or
no,
Hawaii.
thank you. Yeah, sure. All right, let's move into the last little part. We got to close up this thing. So going back to the classroom and just that idea of gamifying your stuff. So making sure that we are, letting that drive our conversation. I find I do that a lot in my classroom. I don't have a formal lesson plan a lot. A lot of times I go in with like, this is the game I want to play, or this is the activity that I want to drive the class. And then more often than not, we end up in these deep conversations that are so valuable and allowing those time to bloom and to develop and to go down different tracks. I think the students come out of it with way more than they would if we just stuck to a regimented lesson plan or took notes all day about what topic A, B, C, or D was. So allowing games to be that driver of conversation, I think, is going to be a huge one for you between the whole class, between the students themselves, between you and a student. There's so many different levels to that kind of thing. All right. And yeah, it becomes that natural entry point into so many different topics that you can talk about. So let me show you some of the games that Intuit have for you. And then we can talk about, which ones have you played before? Is there any others you want to add to this list? But the ones that Intuit have, you can see them labeled at the top there with that Intuit logo. You have the Powering Prosperity. I was actually playing on that a little bit this morning just to kind of get re-familiar with it. It was fun. It was a budgeting one where so you had to like earn and then spend and try and reach your budgeting goals. And I thought it was very appropriate for a beginner high school class. Some of those NGPF ones are awesome as well. And I have to give a shout out to Cashy as well. I love their budgeting game too. I think that's a really great simulation that goes on there. But education.intuit.com/home/games is where you find this hub of games. If you go to your Intuit Education Hub as well, you'll see there's a level, I think it's about 4 down, which is about games and simulation. So you can find all of this stuff in your hub too. But yeah, if you have any other games that you love to play in your classroom, throw them in there. We would love to have a great list on there. And I would suggest, looking in that chat, saving some of these for the fall or when you think you're going to try this out again. Bummer, great one for insurance. Build Your Stacks is awesome for investing. I think I love starting my investing unit with Stacks. So they're like, what is this thing? I'm just pushing buttons. And then they're like, okay, like tell me more about the CD thing. Like, what is that? Or what's an index fund? Or why do some stocks fly up and then others drop off the face of a cliff? And why does everything seem to drop at the same time or go up at the same time? Like there's so many questions that pop up from just playing Build Your Stacks. So Kate says about Monopoly. Yeah, Monopoly, I love using. We rarely play an actual game of Monopoly. We always put a lens on it so that we're talking about either cash flow tracking or net worth tracking, tracking investments to see how they return compared to their costs. We have an insurance monopoly. So we create an insurance plan before we start playing, and then they get to claim against their insurance when negative events happen. I have a financial literacy one. So they have to answer a financial literacy question before every transaction. They get it right, they get a better deal. They get it wrong, the deal gets worse. So being financially literate better. If you want to ask me about any of those, by the way, you are more than welcome to, because I don't want to overstay my welcome on terms of time and I have to switch over to a different track. But you can send me an email, rob@phieducator.com, if you have any questions about any of that stuff. I'll put that in the chat for you. And there are wonderful Facebook groups out there. Huge shout out to the Business Educators Facebook group. It's not mine. It's just something I'm very active in, but it's just full of CTE, business, personal finance teachers who are sharing ideas that they have found that work really well for them in their classroom. So that's a great group to get into and just share what you're doing or ask the questions that you have if you have them. And particularly when it comes to games, people are always looking for games and they're always sharing their games too. But thank you all very much for being here today. It was a pleasure. I will be switching over to the higher ed track starting in, I think, 8 minutes to talk about personal finance conversation. So using those FinSights cards that Dan was teasing about earlier this morning. All right. Thank you all. I'll see you all in another session or later today. The Facebook group is called Business Educators. I'm just looking at the chat really quick before I go. I don't have the link to the Facebook group right now. Unfortunately, I don't have Facebook up. But the group is just called Business Educators.
Are we going to get kicked out of this session and brought back to the main room or no?
No, this track will stay open. So as long as you're staying in the general education track, this will continue. A new speaker will take over. But if you want to switch tracks, go back to your main hub via the email you got.
Thank you.
Oh, and Chris just shared the Facebook group. Thank you.
I teach online and I do stacks and another game. I forget which one it was. But anyhow, because I teach online, it's always, how do I know that the kids actually played the game? Mm-hmm. So there's an outcome at the end of the game that I have them take a snip of, and that's what they submit. Just an FYI.
Yeah, I like that. It's definitely screenshots are great. Yeah, it's hard to track like what they actually did with their money, but like you can sometimes open up their
Right.
portfolios and see like, did you do anything other than keep it in cash, or did you?
Right.
So yeah, there's sometimes other things you can do, or like describe how you play the game or something like that, which again, ChatGPT can fake for them just as easily. I mean,
Right.
virtual education's hard.
Yep. Yep. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Matthew, David, thank you very much. I'm going to drop over to my other one.
Thanks so much, Rob.